What's up, guys? Kevin here, and I wanted to talk about the new Fantasy Labs contest dashboards. Again, if you're not a member of Fantasy Labs, highly recommend it. I've got my link in the YouTube description. They've got tons of great tools across all different sports, and they're coming out with more all the time, including this contest dashboard that we're going to talk about today. So right now it's NFL preseason while I'm making this video. If you're watching it, it's probably you might be watching it during the NFL season, and at that time they're going to have this contest dashboard for the NFL. But I'm just going to kind of show you the basics behind it, looking at PGA. So there's 6 different things that I'm going to go through today, starting off with exposures here. So for this, you can find different exposures for different DFS players in any tournament that you select up here. So right now I'm looking at the PGA contest. We've got the $33 dog leg that's happening right now, and you can go through and look at different exposures for different DFS players. So for example, I've got myself favored here. So you can favorite yourself or favorite other players, and you can look at the exposure for those players. So you can see that I've got me selected 65 players in my player pool, which is quite a bit, but this is a weaker field event, so I spread it out quite a bit. My max percentage on any one golfer is 38%. You can see here it shows all of my exposures for all different players that I have in my lineups. And then you can also view lineups here. And another cool thing is you can go to your lineups and you can click view only duplicated lineups, and you can see if you have any duplicated lineups. So I've only got one this week out of 150, so that's pretty good. If that one wins, then I would have to split it with one other guy. Sometimes you'll have a duplicate lineup with a bunch of different people that you'd have to split the prize with if you won. So that's a cool tool, is you can see how many duplicated lineups you have. So what I would do with this tool, besides just looking at your own players and looking at your own percentages and your leverage, is I would watch the leaderboards of the contest for the sport, find guys that are constantly at the top of that leaderboard or of the leaderboard for that sport, and favorite those guys and kind of watch their exposures. So let's just say I'm just going to take a couple of these guys here. So you can group them together, or you can click here and you can favorite them. So what I would do is, let's just say that these 3 guys are guys that I want to watch each week because they do really well in the contest. I notice that they're always at the top of the leaderboards. You can favorite them, so every week they're going to come up here and you're going to see them at the top, and you can look at their exposures each week. So you can go like this and click a group of them and kind of look at the so we'll sort it by salary here. You can look at the different exposures for each guy. You can see the strategies for different players, so different DFS players. So this guy, he has 29 players in his player pool, maxed out at 44%. I've got 65, so pretty big difference there. I'm playing a ton of different guys. This guy's got 72, so he even went more than me. And you can look at exposures and kind of figure out how the top DFS players are building their lineups, especially useful when they're max entering. Let's say you want to max enter maybe like the $3 NFL contest or the quarter arcade 25-cent NFL contest. It'll give you an idea of how the best players are making their lineups, how they're spreading out their ownership, and all that kind of stuff. So you can study the best players this way with the exposure tool. I think that's one of the great things about it, is just studying some of the top DFS players. And then, of course, just watching your own exposure. And it's just an easy way to look at your own guys and view your duplicated lineups. So that's one of my favorite things here, maybe my favorite from the contest dashboard, but there's a couple other great features here. We got the Stack Seeker. So what you can do is you can search players. So let's say we've got Matt Every and Webb Simpson checked off. So it's going to show you how many lineups out of the 21,000 have both Webb Simpson and Matt Every, who are currently leading the golf tournament that I'm looking at right now. So we can see that only 25% or 25 people out of 21,000 have that stack. So this is kind of just useful for if you're sweating DFS lineups. Let's say it's Sunday, these 2 guys are leading the tournament. You want to see you've got those 2 guys in your tournament, and in your lineup, and you want to see how many guys you're going up against that have the exact same 2 guys that are leading the tournament. You can check here and you can see that only 0.12% of all lineups have those 2 guys. So you can take it a step further. Let's say there's 3 guys up near the top of the leaderboard. Let's say Lucas Glover's another one. So there's 0 lineups with Lucas Glover. Let's say that we look at Chad Campbell. So we can, if we have Webb Simpson, Chad Campbell, and Matt Every checked off, only 2 lineups out of 21,000 have that. combination. So if you were to have those three guys and maybe they were 1, 2, 3 heading into Sunday, just kind of give you a better idea of who you're facing off against if those three guys kind of finish 1, 2, 3. So that's pretty cool, just mostly for sweats, and also just kind of viewing different stacks maybe before Sunday kickoff, or when Sunday kickoff happens, you can see different quarterback stacks and that kind of stuff. See what a lot of people are going with. Salary. So these are the percentage of lineups that have certain salaries. So you can see here almost half the entries used all $50,000 they had to spend, and it shows you the percentages for each of them. Pretty cool to look at. Player holes remaining, so that's kind of after the cut. For golf, we're going to be looking after the cut, see how many player holes remaining each person has, how many people they got through the cut. For NFL, you can see if you're going into the Sunday night game with a big sweat, you can see how many people have players left in that last game. Duplicate lineup report. This is showing you the most popular lineups that are duplicated. So this one has 56 duplicates, but it's only 3 users. So someone must have the same lineup maybe like 53 times or 54 times. This lineup down here, it's 25 different people have the same lineup. So just cool to look at to see what the popular lineups are. And also, you probably don't want to be one of these 25, unless of course it wins, and you're still getting a good payday. But you do kind of want to try to be unique with your lineups. You don't want to have 25 people to split the first place prize or the first to 25th place prizes with, if you can help it. But if that lineup does win, then I guess it's the best lineup out there. So you can't really complain. But again, you want to try to get unique lineups in your lineups. Leaderboard here. This is going to be shown after the event, so we can go back and check past contests, which is really cool. Something I like quite a bit. Go back to leaderboard here. So this is something that I like quite a bit. You can look at how many entries the person had. So this is pretty crazy. This guy was in the $33 Millie Maker last week for the PGA Championship, and he only had 1 entry. He won $1 million. And the guy who in second only had 1 entry, and the guy in third only had 3 entries. So it just shows you that you don't have to have 150 lineups to win. Obviously, it's going to help you a little bit, but you can win with a single entry. And it also shows you the players they have, their roster. But another cool thing is the salary that they used. So as you can see here, this guy was pretty ballsy. He had 1 lineup and he left $500 on the table. So it kind of shows you don't need to spend $50,000. You don't have to spend the whole salary when you're building your lineups. If we go back and the week before this, I was checking, and the guy in first had $500 left over as well. So again, it just shows you don't always have to be spending the $50,000. Leaving money on the table can be smart if there's a golfer that you like that's below what you have left for the last spot. And then it's going to show you his average ownership, his highest owned golfer, and the lowest owned golfer. So you can see here he had a guy who was 0.52%, which was Graham Dillette. His average ownership was 12%. So that's probably going to be pretty standard, somewhere around 12, maybe 15%, just because you're going to have some lower owned guys in your lineups. For the most part, you probably can't get maybe 6 golfers that are 20% owned into a lineup usually, but it just kind of depends on how the pricing is. But it gives you an idea of the guys that finished near the top of the leaderboard, how many entries they have, how much salary they're spending, their average ownership. Just a way to look at the DraftKings contests without having to export the Excel spreadsheet and kind of look through it yourself. So really like that. Like all the tools, my favorite is exposures. I think that's going to help a lot of people that have Fantasy Labs accounts become better players because you can kind of favorite different DFS players and watch how they build their lineups week in and week out. And that can help you make decisions to see what the best way to build lineups is. So again, highly recommend you sign up for Fantasy Labs. Lots of great tools, probably new tools coming like there is all the time over at Fantasy Labs. So highly recommend you sign up. Again, my link is in the YouTube description. Check it out. If you're a member, head in there for PGA and MLB and check it out. Or if it's NFL season when you're watching this, go check it out. A lot of good stuff in there. And that's it, guys. Talk to you guys later.